Once I see the recording button come up, I'm okay. We're good to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I want y'all to know today I wanted to be a little more forward and show you guys a little more of what happens in the industry, right? So today we're actually going to be looking at these characters on screen that I designed in 2015. I think I showed you guys, but we're going to get into it some more. So just a little error happened. Can you see my screen? Yeah, you can see my screen. So a little error happened just now, but that's not going to stop us because we're great. So what you're going to see is actually a story that was written by a ninth grader in 2016, and she actually continued to become a mentee in my program. Um, so basically, Cans4Kids, I'm a director on their board. And if you guys, you're going to see a truck that's driving around pretty soon with Cans4Kids on it. But if you guys are recycling, if you're listening to Miss Anna, you are in for a great opportunity. So basically, to keep it short, every time you throw away a can, you're throwing away money. Every time you're throwing away a piece of can, you're throwing away money because aluminum is a very valuable piece of metal. So Cans4Kids is an organization that collects all the cans, they crush it and they ship it out and they give you money for those aluminum cans. In the position of schools, we gather a lot of cans, a lot of aluminum, and then we are able to buy computers and laptops and phones for kids just off collecting cans. One of the kids that is highlighted is the little girl right above the K. So she's one of our star players, man. She's from Andres, Orange Creek, and she literally brings in tons and tons of cans every year. So she's always doing a great job. So you guys want to check out Cans4Kids if your parents can let you see it on social media. It's active, it's going on, and there's a lot of competitions. So let's get into today's activities. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna talk about character design, which is a part of art. We're gonna incorporate that with story writing, which I know you guys discussed inside school before, in English, maybe in some kind of creative exercise. And then we're gonna give the assignment for the day. We're gonna be exactly in 15 minutes, just because, like I said, I have to make a dash to the bank, uh, and then I have to catch this plane. This plane. So character designs, right? You have fun with it. When I was approached by Cans4Kids, they came to me with like this kitty version of a can, and I was like, no, I could do better. So what I did was I created this whole realm, this whole universe of can characters. On your left, you see Mr. Can, who would be the grown-up version of their original Can, who was named Cannon, right? There's the antagonist. We use that word today. So the antagonist is Mr. Waste, and Mr. Waste is a rat, literally. Mr. Waste represents what's happening in the Bahamas right now, which is that they're not letting Bahamians win from recycling. If you were to go, and this is a quick lesson for you guys, if you were to look up Canada, you would know that in Canada, you have to recycle. You have to separate your cans from your banana peels, from your trash, from your non-perishables. You have to actually separate everything, or you would be fined. And a thing in the Bahamas is we have to put recycling at the foremost importance because it's the way forward for the world. We're making the world a better place. Now, Miss Thang is for all the girls out there. You know, she had a little attitude, a little purse, a yes, yes. So I'm gonna do a little voice acting today. I do voice acting schools for my animation company, but and we also have Baby Can, right? And every one of these characters have a backstory. So again, Mr. Can is the professional recycling ambassador, and there's a secret thing about him that you're going to learn in this comic today. Mr. Waste is the business entrepreneur. He's rich because the nastier people be, the nasty he will be because he's making more money. So actually inside this Mr. Waste, you might see him called Mr. Nasty because they use that interchangeably, right? That's the word for the day, I guess. But we also have Kanan. Kanan's like a hip, I'm too cool for school kind of guy. His dad is trying to teach him how to recycle, but he don't really need all that. He's cool. He wants to look good. Miss Thang, of course, she has attitude. She into recycling either. She more about looking good and how she could change her shape up. And of course, we have Baby Can, who's learning about the importance of recycling. So if you're with me so far, just drop a little thumbs up. Just give me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure everybody's still here. If you're with me so far, and that's a little about character design, and that's going to be important as we go on. So I'm gonna wait for a few thumbs up, make sure everybody's awake, make sure nobody's sleeping. All right, we got a hand raise. You got a hand raise is good. Hand raise, just raise your hand and drop it. Just making sure we was good. So let's keep going. Let's get into our story for the day. So Mr. Can and Baby Can were patrolling the street, and I'm gonna do my Mr. Can voice. All right, Mr. Waste has not come up with any schemes lately. That's my Mr. Waste, voice. So yeah, I'm back. So don't make fun of my Mr. Can voice. I'm not really a good voice actor, but I'm gonna try today for you guys. So again, Mr. Can and Baby Can were patrolling the streets. Mr. Waste has not come up with any schemes lately, said Mr. Can. I'll go check the Grove, and Mr. Can flew away. So if you don't know what a Grove is, learn where the Grove is in the Bahamas. So Mr. Can flies away to go to the Grove, right? And then all of a sudden, this little toy motorcycle rides by and it has candy on it. And if you don't know, Baby Can loves candy. He can't resist it. So here's Baby Can chasing after it. Finally, it stops. He loves candy and he jumps on it and begins to eat his candy. And he's so happy, right? And then what happens next? I don't know why I paused. Did it pause? Let me see. Let's cut the screen. Let's press next. Yeah, there we go. So as he finished up, Baby Can looked up and realized that he was in front of a factory. He ventured in and viewed cans being crushed, burnt, and melted. And you can imagine how like scary this is for Baby Can, right? He's walking as somebody who doesn't understand, cans, the sun is a can. And he walks into this factory of old cans being crushed and burned. And then they're being formed again into new cans. And for him, it's like, oh my goodness, why are they hurting all these old cans? And you can see on the left hand side, a can with a little, long old bed and stuff like that. So as he is crying out loud, then Mr. Nasty comes out of the dark corner. This is what's happening when you recycle, stated Mr. Nasty. He then takes out a test tube full of Neo Glue. Drink this, and you will have superpowers to save all cans from purifying fate, called this petrifying fate, sorry, called recycling. And you can imagine how how innocent Baby Can is, right? So Baby Can is just like, okay, I'm gonna save these cans. So he stops crying, he drinks the goo, and let's see what happens next. So Baby Can now develops some superpowers and he takes all the cans out of the trash and brings them to Mr. Can as instructed, right? Later on, Baby Can collected 10 million cans. Every time Baby Can brought Mr. Nasty cans, Mr. Nasty would put the big cans, the little cans, all kind of cans into this big missile. Then Baby Can speaks for the first time. Is this a missile? Asks Baby Can. Actually, I should do a Baby Can voice. Is this a missile? I guess that's my Baby Can voice. No, it's a missile-looking trash can, says Mr. Nasty sarcastically. Why did you ask me to take out Baby Can voice? Sorry. Why did you ask me to take cans out of one bin and into another? Stop asking me questions and get me more cans, commanded Mr. Nasty. As Mr. Nasty walked away, he whispered, so I can make the world more filthy, and began to laugh in an evil manner. Baby Can then dashed off to a button, but Mr. Nasty caught him. What are you trying to do? Ruin everything? Mr. Nasty tied Baby Can to the missile. I will get rid of you, Baby Can. You have helped enough. Stop right there and put down the remote. And a voice shouted from the distance. And if you look into the panel on the left, you'd see a distance of a character standing in the doorway. Mr. Nasty looked around. You're too late, shouted Mr. Nasty. Then he pushed the launch button. When the missile reached and this is a big word, and this is our word for the day, and I want to see who can raise their hand and pronounce that word. Just raise your hand. Raise your hand and one person unmute once we acknowledge your raise
it.
Oh, Tavon. Everybody else mute your mic. Everybody else.
Godfrey, he said.
Only Tavon. Only Tavon. Say it again, Tavon. One more time. Everybody leave your mics muted. Only Tavon should be speaking. Tavon, say it one more time for me.
Trosphere.
No.
All right. Let's try someone else. Did he say it right the first time? Did he say it right the first time?
But Godfrey just.
Okay, wins the prize. because whoever Godfrey keeps jumping in. So Trayvon. So again, Trayvon wins that one. Godfrey, I think it was. You're not allowed to unmute until you ask to unmute. So even if you said it right, because you jumped in when Trayvon was saying it, he automatically wins. So congratulations, Trayvon. I have a prize to you again to give to Miss Hano. And I'll get that to you guys. Boy, I should get it today, but I'll say on Monday. So the aluminum cans go up there, and baby can. Hold on, sorry. I think this is the error, a typing error. But basically, Mr. Nasty starts to talk in an evil voice, telling his whole plan that once the missiles reaches up in the atmosphere, that will explode and the debris will destroy Cleanville. And Cleanville is the city that all the cans live in, basically. So at this point, Baby Can is tied to the missile. Mr. Can, who is at the door, is flying after the missile. So the secret about Mr. Can, or the older version of Mr. Can, right, is that he actually has superpowers. So Mr. Nasty and Mr. Waste interchangeably then continues laughing, believing he has won. But Mr. Can in the missile with Baby Can, as they were flying through the air, he had a thought, and he said, he saw the counter, and it's counting down to a few seconds. And Mr. Can rips off the wire box. I put the wrong panel there. Sorry, guys. I put the wrong panel. So these words are supposed to be on this panel. I put the wrong panel there. But anyway, basically, as he sees the counter working down, he rips off the wired box of the missile. He plugs it into himself, and then the missile stops and it drops. So this is when he unties Baby Can, because the secret is Mr. Waste can't tie knots. So Mr. Can just literally just touched the rope and it undid itself. And at that point, Mr. Can was like, "So Baby Can, why you didn't just unloose yourself?" But of course, Baby Can has no arms. So then we see the missile, it stopped, Baby Can is falling, and he rips out the detonator and it explodes. And Mr. Can flies away, and then there's an explosion. So the question is, did the explosion kill Mr. Can? We're coming to the end of our story. So Baby Can, still having superpowers from the goo, the Neo goo, flies down to the ground and stops the missile from hitting the ground with his superpowers, right? And then the final piece of the story, he throws the missile and then realizes in the end, recycling is not so bad, as he throws it into the melting pot to then, of course, be recycled and create more cans. And that's the end of the story. That was written by Markia Johnson in 2016. She won our competition. This also was illustrated by two students, so I helped them a little bit, but you had Taj Francis and Demetrio Henfield who illustrated this, and we brought this to life. So this is an example of 3 to 4 artists and writers coming together. Sorry, my phone's ringing. Let me just quiet it. So this is an example of 3 to 4 artists coming together to make it happen, right? And this is the opportunity you guys have. So this exercise that we're going to get into today, the first is that if you know anybody between the ages of 3 to 5, and I sent this to Miss Hannah so you guys can get it, who wants to color, we have a coloring exercise. So anybody between 3 and 5 can enter this coloring competition. First prize gets $200, second prize gets $150, and third prize gets $100. So Miss Hannah's going to send it. So you have a little sister, little brother, maybe a niece, nephew, or cousin. This is something you want to give them for an opportunity to win some money. All right. So Miss Hannah has that. And then we're also going to get into your competition. So you're going to take your time within this next week. Well, actually, I'm going to give it until January 5th to create your own can character. So I want you to draw him. I want you to take some pictures of the drawing process. I want you to do some videos of you drawing, maybe talking about your character. And then I want you to color him. You saw every one of my characters were a different color. I want you to color your character, give it some life, and then give your character a little backstory. Is your character a protagonist, an antagonist? Is your character happy side? Is your character sassy, a baby? Is your character a coward? Develop your character, right? And then you're going to give us that character description. The second part is you have to write a 2-page adventure of your character. So what I'm saying is, if you can't draw, there's still opportunity for you to win in writing. So don't think just because you could draw that you're writing good. And don't think because you can write, you're drawing good. But the key is if you could find a friend and that friend could draw and then you could write and you guys come together, I think you can actually accomplish this competition and blow everybody up their mind. So
Let
again,
me
this is going to
answer
be
as a
due.
class.
This is going. This is going to be due. This is going to be due on January 5th, 2021. Miss Hannah has the exercise. However, she decides to give it out, but you guys have all Christmas to work on it. And then we're going to choose a winner who would then once again have a chance to have their story illustrated and brought to life by my team of artists and animators. And actually, we're going to take it a step further. We might animate the next story. So you guys could actually have a cartoon of your story, okay? And that is my, let me see. I think that's my presentation for today. Oh yeah, some other examples. So in the past, the Taj character, one of my mentees, this is his Can character. Of course, you know who we based it off, Naruto. So he was
Naruto,
like,
I like Naruto.
here comes my new attack, Recycle Can. And if you watch Naruto, the anime, you know it's Rasengan. So instead of Rasengan, Recycan. So I think that was pretty it's pretty neat. And then of course Taj did a next one along with
Guys,
Malik.
it's not a
And they did it's better to recycle with Cans4Kids. I'm just saying.
that's cool.
I'm just saying because
Oh, I love that.
he's a saying, you know, he's Dragon Ball Z, he's a saying. I'm
Say
just
it.
anyway. All right, that's my corny joke for the day. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's a pleasure to be with you today. I know today we didn't get the draw, but I really wanted to show you guys again some of the stuff that my company does. I wanted to show you just as Misana showed you that this is a real job. Do not take it for jokes. If you believe in your talent, you could draw. That Cans4Kids project. That was $5,000 I got paid for that for 1 month of work. So this is a real job, a real opportunity. If you ever had an interest in it, take it serious and take this competition serious. Makia and Taj became my mentee, and up to this date, they probably gotten about $30,000 from me. So I take anybody who is dedicated to learn. I take it very seriously. Malik has had opportunities to go to college. I write all of them college references, and of course, I work for a university, so that's very easy. So take this exercise very seriously. I am going to take written questions. So if you have any questions before I leave, I'm gonna look at the chat and make sure I answer any questions, and then I'll be gone. So I see like 19s. I have a clear paper. YouTube videos are free. Hola. I can't see. And you can't see. Winter stay. Can a child read? Yes, Miss Hannah, I was gonna let a child read, but because of time, I had to read it today, and I'm so
No
sorry, guys.
problem.
We will do this again, and next time I want the head of voice actors. I want somebody to read my characters for me, right? And there are
Someone's
other
asking
stories.
if you're on YouTube, if you do drawings on YouTube.
I do not do drawings on YouTube because I don't have time to do that. But I can send. I can always show you guys in classes work that we're
You can
doing,
do a lot of work.
animations that we're doing. Um, a next thing is let me show you guys some other stories before we go today. So I don't want you to think I only had one story. Like there were 16 students who entered. So on the screen here, you would see the competition. We had a topic of history of Cans4Kids, the process, magic of making cans. They had different things. They had the objectives, and this was for senior high school, right? So the student forgot to write their name, but they invented a Mr. Waste. So there's actually another student who invented Mr. Waste. I didn't make him up. A student made up Mr. Waste, but the student got kicked out of school, so we never got to find out who it was. This lady called Asia, she's the one who invented Miss Thing. So Asia invented Miss Thing. I only drew her. Angela Strong, oh, no, sorry,
Angelina.
Angelina Strong. Um, she had this whole thing about the magic behind talking cans. So her backstory is why our cans can talk. We literally combined everybody's story and made a can universe. Jordan Johnson, the history of Mr. Waste. So that's why it's Mr. Waste or Mr. Nasty. So Jordan had a part inside that. The backstory for a new character. We didn't use this new character, but it's like a thuggish kind of like a gangster, if I could say, kind of can character, and we of course eliminated that person because we don't promote violence. And this remember, Cans4Kids is not just me. It's not just me as the director. It's under Coca-Cola, so that's where we get a lot of our funding from. Of course, this is the new character, Mr. Nasty. So this is how Mr. Waste or Mr. Nasty won. She made up a whole story about who he is and what he does. So this is the winning story that we just read. And then Angelina, she's the one who created Cleanville. So she attached sketches, and we actually got to see her create Cleanville. So again, I know this sounded like Mr. Mortimer did all this, but no, this was about 16 students. We worked for like 3 months and we created this whole universe. And the next steps we are taking with Cans4Kids is to animate this, find voice actors, and go higher and higher. So thank you so much. I don't see any. Oh no, I see an next question. What is it like to be an art teacher? Is it good? I have teaching experience in art throughout the Commonwealth. I've taught in San Salvador, Luther, Exuma, but it's always been on a volunteer basis. Me and Miss Hannah actually went to Teachers Cadets together. So I learned a lot about planning and putting together the curriculum and being creative alongside her. And I was supposed to become a teacher like Miss Hannah, but she was so good. I said, I'm not going to compete with her. I'm going to let her shine. This is her realm. She's the best. And I decided to go into psychology to become a guidance counselor. So, old was I when I started art? I have been drawing from I was a young kid. My dad is an artist, so from I can remember, I was drawing on walls. I was drawing in the back of books. I always drew in the back of books, and I also use art to cope. So I didn't learn how to read until I was in grade 10. So the only thing I really had was I always had an A in art, and I always got like a D or a C minus in English. So art was my go-to, but I eventually, by grade 10 in St. Augustine's College, learned how to read, and then of course became more articulate and then go to college. Say it again. Our, what is it? Our
Oh, he chose the
vocab
word
word.
contaminate for Mr. Waste.
Okay, cool. Contaminate. There we go. Turn up. So actually, to let you guys know, so the word that is thropospira, whatever it is, because of my, and this is for anybody who has a disability, you can let Miss Hannah know and teachers know what to do. But I have a phonetic disability, meaning I cannot pronounce all words. So the word that Trayvon pronounced, that Gregory pronounced, I actually cannot pronounce that word. That's actually my disability. So I can draw, but I actually have a phonetic disability. And that's because I take pride in that because knowing that made me a better artist and a better person. So again, if you have problems reading or anything like that, reach out to Miss Hannah. Teachers know what to do to help you. And don't be ashamed. Don't let nobody tease you in class because you can't read or pronounce words because I was teased up to grade 10. And I cried. I cried when they teased me in grade 10, but then I made a choice to learn how to read and become better.
Awesome.
And yeah, so about when I was 16 is when I figured out I had a reading problem, but I've always struggled through school. So I've never gotten above a C minus in English. But then I found out that once I learned how to read and comprehend, I got an A in literature. So I cannot do punctuations and I don't know the terminologies and different stuff, but I could understand whatever I'm reading. And I am now currently 30. I am 30 years old. Y'all in my business.
Yeah,
Y'all in
all
my
in it,
business.
all in it,
Don't
all
do
in it.
that. Don't do
All right,
that.
so that is awesome. And I loved the
All right.
questions that took us back to religion with discovering your identity. So
Yes.
just like Moses and Gideon, Mr. Mortimer also had a disability, like how Moses was afraid to speak and his brother Aaron spoke for him. And Gideon doubted himself and he became a mighty warrior. You too can come from anything, any sport you are now, whether you have a disability with learning or a physical one, that is not going to stop you or limit you with your identity. You can become someone great at the end of the day. You just have to believe. And that is linked to our scripture for grade 4. God has a plan for every one of us, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Thank you very much, Mr. Mortimer.
My pleasure. I'm about to leave and everything to what Miss Hannah said. Amen. Miss Hannah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for not drawing on the screen today. It really means a lot.